Again, it's fine with me. I don't care.
Oh, you changed your picture?
Hmm? I did. Y'all said I looked angry. My daughter said I looked angry. I don't look angry. I hope that's really sharing my screen. It seems to be. Okay. All right. We're starting on installment notes today. This is the last thing we're going to look at in the chapter. So, an installment note is, it's debt, but it's, you know, it's different from bonds, because on bonds, you just, pay interest, you know, periodically, and then at the end of the term, you pay the whole loan amount back. With a note, or with an installment note, rather, you're going to make a regular payment. I mean, it may be every year, it may be every quarter, it could be once a month, but you're going to make a regular payment, and it's going to consist of interest and some of that principal. So you are on page 18, by the way. So think about a car note. Does anybody pay their own car note? You bought a car before, but you probably paid cash, didn't you? Because you're that kind of smart, kind of. I'm one of those. I kind of got over it, but I always liked. Every 3 years, I got the car itch. So I always had a car note. I still have a car note. Actually, I have two. I have a child with a car note. So car note or house note are the two that I think about when I think about an installment note. Car note, you know, you typically make a payment once a month. And every month some of it is interest and some of it's knocking your loan balance down. Same thing with a house. I mean, you may have a 30-year mortgage on your house, and every month you make a payment. Some of it's interest, some of it's taking the balance of your loan down. If you have a really long-term loan, like a house mortgage that's 30 years, you'll find that it takes you several years to even chip into that principal because it's such a long note. When you get ready to buy a house, get your mortgage broker that you talk to. This is depressing, isn't it? But it's good information to have. Get your mortgage broker that you talk to show you the difference between like a 20-year and a 30-year, how much interest you'll pay. It's really bad, and it's really it'll grab your attention. Because it's like,
if I can afford it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of tough. You'd have to buckle down at some higher payment, obviously, but the difference in the interest between a 20 and a 30-year is crazy, and it's depressing. So either you have to just suck it up and do it. I mean, it also depends on how long you're going to stay there. If you're not going to stay there very long, it's not worth the trouble. But, all right. So installment notes are often used to purchase specific assets like equipment, cars, houses, buildings. So you're getting a loan and you're buying something specific with it. A lot of times, in fact, I would say most of the time, those types of loans are secured by the asset you're buying. So I always joke around and say, I don't own my car. Now it's Capital One. For a while, it's Honda Financial Services. Capital One owns my car. Their name's on title. Mine's below it, like a peon. And then once I pay it off, they'll transfer it over to me. But I own it once I pay the loan off. Because if I stop making payments, I don't care if it's the last 2 payments I have to make on it. They'll come get my car. And they'll sell it and pay their loan off. So they essentially own it until you get it.
Yeah, sorry. Got a knot in my back.
I just was like, what is he doing back there? Anyway, yeah, your asset's going to secure the loan. A building or a house, I mean, a house typically is going to be a personal thing. This is business. But a house, you know, if you quit paying your mortgage, they'll evict you. They'll go to court, get an eviction order, and you're out. So they'll foreclose on your house. They'll take it back. So, yeah, most of these installment loans are secured. And if they are secured, they call them a mortgage note. Because, again, if you fail to pay, they can come and get your property. It's actually their property. Because, I mean, essentially they paid for it. You're just paying them back. All right, so when you get an installment note, it says when an installment note is issued, Okay, so that means you'll see that verbiage with the company, so-and-so company issued an installment note. They took out a loan. I mean, it's just the wording's kind of weird. You're going to debit cash and credit notes payable. And the payments, they could be annual, they could be more frequent. I'm not sure why we just have annual payments addressed there. It's any payment. Every payment's going to have principal and interest. What happened to that? So the interest is computed by multiplying the interest rate by the carrying amount of the note. So what the carrying amount of the note is the principal balance. What's the balance on your books? What's in notes payable? And to figure out how much principal is being paid, first you're going to figure the interest. Then you're going to take the difference between the payment and the interest amount to see what's going towards principal. But once you're through, after you make the final payment on that loan, the note balance is going to be zero. I mean, that's kind of common sense. And the note's been paid in full. And then they send you a title with your name on it, or one that they have transferred over, and you have to get a new one. But that's a good day, because then you don't have any more notes to pay. Did y'all get all this already? Good. Recap of that's right here. Here's a formula for calculating interest for future reference. We're going to go through all that, so it's not really a big deal here. How in the world did I miss that? I totally missed that example on the last one. All right. So just to figure, to see what this looks like. Oh, it's already done. Never mind. That's why I missed it. This is just an example. Okay, so you have a $25,000 note, the annual payment. They only pay once a year, $6,500. 6% is the rate. So to figure out how much interest you would have, you take the amount of the loan times the interest rate times, I said 12 over 12 here, it's 1. But if you had it monthly, you would put, 112. And so that makes $1,500 on the interest and $5,000 to the principal. So that's how, in a simple format, that works. But what we do to figure these things out and to kind of map out how much is going to be paid towards principal and interest every year, you can create what's called an amortization schedule. And this is what it looks like. This came right out of your book. So if you need a reference point, come on. Did I just make it so big it disappeared? Jeez. What is happening to me? It was doing this the other day. It's slow. It's like there's a lag, and I'm not patient enough to wait for it to correct itself. Okay. It's ready for spring break too. All right, so we're going to look at an example. And if y'all notice on that printed version that was in blue up there that came out of the book, this exhibit, and I've kind of got the same stuff here. I want to make sure it's the same way because this works. They've got the columns labeled A, B, C, D, and E, but they tell you like how to figure out each one of these using formulas. So yeah, what do we call this key? So beginning carrying value. We're going to get that from the problem. December 31st, 2014, Daily Maid Corp issued for Ball Road money, $100,000 at 4% for 5 years. So the note has annual installment payments of $22,463. We are to amortize the payments using this table and then journalize the first 2 payments. Amortize just means break it down between interest and principal. And it's kind of the same thing we did with that other, with premiums and discounts. That's amortizing too, but it's essentially means like spread it out, like allocate the interest to the payments. Anyway, this is an amortization schedule. whenever you buy anything, if you get a loan where you're making payments on it, you can ask the bank to print you a copy of that out. It's kind of depressing if it's a really long loan, but that way you can kind of keep tabs on how much are you knocking this loan down each time. I mean, it's kind of an eye-opener, because if you don't realize that when you're getting a loan over 30 years for your house versus 15 or 20, how much more interest you're paying, then you're just kind of in the dark. You're just kind of making payments blindly. And which, yes, I got a 30-year mortgage the first time too, because the difference in the payments I couldn't pay for. So it just is what it is. You can always refinance it later, but just know what the numbers are. Just make an educated decision based on knowing what the numbers are. Okay. So we've got this loan that they got at the end of 14. And we are going to show each payment on this chart and how much is interest, how much is principal, and how you figure that out. So at the end of the first year, when we're going to be making a payment, the beginning carrying value, that's the loan. That's like how much do you owe at the beginning of that year? You owe all of it. The note payment is going to be $22,463. That's going to be the same all the way down. All right, so to figure our interest expense, we are going to take column A and multiply it. Y'all know that's a multiply. That's Excel. Multiply it by the interest rate of 4%. And that will give you the amount of interest that you're paying on this note payment. I did not write this down. $4,000 on this one. So to figure out how much you're paying on the note itself, you'll take B minus C. So you'll take the note payment, the total payment, take out the interest piece, and then that will give you how much you're decreasing the actual loan. And then to figure out what your ending carrying value is, you'll take the beginning number, A, and subtract D. And that'll give you, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I mean, you kind of have to think about it, but I mean, you're taking, this is the part that's coming off of your actual loan. That's the decrease in your note. So you take the beginning balance of your note, subtract out the part that's going to go towards the note, and that's going to give you your new balance. Is that 81,537? Okay, so if this is the ending amount for the first year, then the beginning amount for the next year is going to be the same, right? So you just go through the same process. Take that number times 4%. That's going to give you the interest part of that, and just round it. Again, your interest, your note payment is the same every time. There's your interest, so subtract that from your note payment. And that gives you how much is going against your loan. And one thing that's kind of encouraging when you look at these things, you can tell every year that passes, you're paying less interest and more towards your loan. So you're actually making progress. You're making more progress as time passes. And it just makes sense. The interest is calculated on how much you owe. So it is, it makes you feel a lot better after you've paid for a little while and you see you're making more progress every month towards getting the loan paid down. Unless you're a big Dave Ramsey follower and you just pay cash for it. If any of y'all save up enough to buy a house of any size, I would love to know how you do it. I'm not disciplined enough. You would think I am, but.
That's what I want to do.
Huh?
That's what I want to do.
Save up enough to buy a house with cash?
It's gonna be a small house.
Well, yeah, you get, and I think that's his theory. You start small with cars and everything. You save up as much, you save up some money, go buy a car. It may be a clunker, but you drive it so you can save up some more money, trade that one in, and pay the extra cash on another one. I ain't got the patience for that. It's a great idea and it works well. It's just not the thing. All right. So interest on this new principal amount is $24.93. So subtract that from your payment amount to get the principal amount. Again, it's just like every year, the amount going towards your principal is getting bigger and the amount of interest is getting smaller. The great thing about Excel, I tell you all the time that you need to learn Excel. It'll do these for you too. Just have to be careful. There's templates out there, but I've pulled them before and they didn't calculate the numbers right. So, but I mean, you can Google amortization schedule, and there's all kinds of financial tools out there where you can just put your information in. It's this much of the loan, this many years. I'm making a payment every month, and it'll figure it for you. It'll get close if it's not precise. Maybe y'all get a different number on this. I didn't write them down. If you get a different number than I'm getting, are y'all even checking?
I got 1695, not 17.
On the 42,365?
Yeah.
Times 4%. Yep. I don't know how I got that. No telling. Tell you, I don't trust my numbers. We'll go back to look at it and not know where the heck it came from. All right, one thing about the last year, the final payment. Typically, there's going to be a little bit of difference. So we're saying $21,597 is the amount that's left to pay on the principal. Okay, so if we have a payment of $22,463, and then we calculate our interest and it's 4%, $864. And
$2 under.
yeah, you take $22,463 and take out that $864. That's going to put $21,599 towards your loan, which is going to leave you with a $2 negative. Typically, what I see happen is they'll either lower the payment, to where it's the right amount, or adjust it through interest. So take your pick, but this needs to be 0 at the end. So I would just, that needs to be 7. So what are you paying more? Interest or whatever? I mean, I guess it's better if they just take the, what they're gonna do is lower your payment.
So you don't think of the rounding number?
It's rounding, yeah. It's rounding, but I've seen that a bunch. I've seen that happen a lot where the final payment's lower than what they've been making, or maybe a few bucks higher, I don't know.
Generally, it's gonna be pretty close.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty close. Most of the time, I see monthly payments, quarterly payments. Usually see annual payments with like farm equipment and stuff like that. Like John Deere, they always have like annual payments for farmers on their loans. And I'm guessing it has to do with seasonal timing when they're gonna have their money and stuff like that. All right, so that's how you do that. So journalizing this. We're only gonna do the first couple of payments. On your homework, I think you have to do like 4. So you're just taking the numbers straight off of here. So what you'll do, I think they said at the beginning of the year, or was it 12/31/14? Okay. So we'll date this 12/31/14. That's when they took the note out. You're gonna debit cash, $100,000. credit notes payable. And then on 12/31/15, you'll show the first payment. So what are we gonna do? What do you think we're gonna do as far as which accounts are we gonna use and
We're gonna debit notes payable and credit cash and interest expense.
you're gonna debit notes payable and you're gonna debit interest expense. And you'll credit cash for the payment amount. So your credit to cash is gonna be the same every time. So we've got $4,018,463. And so your payment amount is $22,063. All right. So for 16, you're just going to take the numbers off the 2016 line. You're going to use the same accounts, just change up the numbers. Okay, so we're crediting cash, $22,063. And you're going to debit notes payable, $19,202. Is it $32.61? The interest? Yeah. Okay. It's not real hard. It's just kind of tedious, just how time we go.
Why is it 22,063 instead of 22,460?
Is that what's supposed to be? Is that right?
Because you wrote it down.
Because I wrote it down wrong. I'm seeing if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
You pass.
Appreciate it, Bubba.
You pass. All right, so example 2 on the next page. Y'all take a stab at that one. Make sure you understand how to do it.
We just did it, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard. I don't think I'm gonna have a full 5 years on the test. I might have 4, but it's not gonna be 5. I don't know, it's not gonna be real lengthy. I mean, we could have
Still
done,
2 or 3 years.
the reason we're using annual on this thing is because it gets really long.
Oh, yeah, if you do.
If you do it every month, and the thing is, when you're doing a year, you're just multiplying the principal times the interest rate. If you're doing it by month, some financial institutions use 360 for a year. Some use 365. So you're taking the number of days in the month over either 360 or 365. When you figure your annual interest on the principal, then you multiply by the days, and it's a pain. And it's a pain trying to figure out what the bank used if you don't have a copy of their amortization schedule. So, not to mention, with so many programs available these days, why don't we do this by hand? But you do need to be able to look at one and see if it's wrong. You need to know where the numbers are coming from. That's just smart. I'm gonna get those, sign up Genius thing out this afternoon too, so you can go ahead and sign up for a date to take it, date and time to take the test. I will tell you this about the review problems, if you go ahead and mark them before you come to class, we won't have to be here as long. Just an incentive. Check your, oh, I didn't put the number. We will be short one. I know that was 100,000 again. First one, nope, not that. I'm struggling, y'all. I swear, that's not right. Where's the 1800 bucks the next year? Okay, I have a headache. That's my excuse. Brain dead. Okay, second year is 18. Just 66. It's maybe the easiest thing to do in the chapter. Probably is. So how did y'all do on that? Y'all do okay on your own? Y'all have any questions on it? No? I know your question.
No, my question is, what do you think the cap has today?
Do what now?
What do you think the cap is serving today?
Oh, I have no idea.
That's a good question.
I can look it up. I can look up and see what they have posted on our site, but we don't have as much as y'all do. They'll get more choices.
Not really.
Really. You really do. You
I
really,
mean, we
really-
only get,
Oh, wait a minute.
we get,
Student dining is posted. Let's see.
Where
Let's
do you
view
see
the
that?
menu for today.
where do you see that?
It's,
No meat,
My
pizza.
Meatloaf,
no meat.
They don't put any meat in them, it's just bread.
Oh,
There's
and the meatloaf or the pizza? Which
no in
one?
the sandwiches.
Oh, I didn't hear you say sandwich.
And there's a little bit like.
It's a bread sandwich, a cheese sandwich. What's today?
I don't
Thursday.
do
Supposedly you have grilled chicken, green beans, mixed vegetables, broccoli and rice, squash and zucchini. You should have fried chicken too. The
yeah,
Mexican favorites
Grilled chicken on the plate.
that'll work.
and
And the Mexican,
tonight you have pasta and sausage bake, mixed vegetables, green beans, and garlic bread. Now that could be, or that could be something totally different when you get there. All right, I'm gonna turn this off since we're done. Hang on one second, I will.